Hello everyone and welcome back to Gossip in Korea. Today we are reading 4 stories. All of these stories are related to Korea in one way or another, so let's jump right into it. I decided to keep using my phone, by the way, because I don't want to waste paper by printing these stories out. So the first story is about a girl who does not want to be friends with foreigners in Korea anymore. Let's see what this is all about. I need some advice. After being in Korea for a couple of years, I've realized that I just don't like foreigner friends anymore. You're a foreigner too, my friend. I came to Korea in my early 20s right after college, and now I'm in my mid-20s. I think it was easy in the beginning because I was open to just meeting random people and vibe. But now, when I look on KakaoTalk or try to go to language exchange meetings, everyone is either early 20s or mid-30s. And I feel like I can't quite connect well with either group. There must be people in their mid-20s. I'm in my mid-20s. For example, I met a girl at the grocery store that asked me a question about where to find coconut flakes because of something she saw on TikTok, and she was maybe around 22. She talked extremely slow and very relaxed about these flakes that I could care less about. I kept saying I had someone to meet, and she just followed me and kept talking about TikTok. Oh, that was me. No, I'm kidding. There are times where I see socially awkward older men at language exchange and just no. Or I will see older women that just talk down to me like I don't know anything and everything has to be a life lesson. For example, one woman told me I can save money by just drinking the free water. This was said after I proceeded to buy an 8 drink at the restaurant, and she told me that's why I have no money. I'm thinking like, sis, I didn't ask for your comment. Yeah, I get that, like you don't want to hear unsolicited advice, but still. Also, most of the language group chats are just filled with K-pop obsessed people who want to drink every night, university students, perverted guys, and it's just overwhelmingly upsetting. Everyone knows Korean people are basically not social to strangers, especially to foreigners, but I feel like at my awkward age, it's just hard to find people that can relate to me and my current position in life. Either they are blissfully oblivious or wandering sages trying to spread unwanted tips. Am I going crazy? Like, has anyone between the ages of 25 to 28 felt like this in Korea? I'm gonna share my thoughts, but this person also wrote some updates, so we're gonna read those. Update number 1. I probably should have included this. I told her many times in the store that I could talk more later and I would be happy to schedule a meetup with her. I gave the girl my KakaoTalk and she sent me a message about how she was happy to meet me. But after I replied to her message, she just left me on read. Okay, that's sad. You were even giving her a chance, even though you hated that she talked about TikTok and coconut flakes. I just took it as a hint to leave her alone. I also offered to show her around Seoul if we met again. I hate being late to meet people, so she just caught me on the wrong day. So update number 2. Also, I had some terrible experiences with foreigners. One being, I was told that I don't like to talk loud because I am ashamed to be a foreigner. In reality, everyone in the place is talking very quietly, and why is our group talking loud? What? This has been multiple groups with different people from different Western countries. They all said you're loud because you're ashamed to be a foreigner? That's so weird. What? Okay. Another one asked me to go to Hongdae with her and I went. Then she proceeded to complain the whole night about how she hates Hongdae and prefers Apgujeong, even though she is 21 and talks about having no money. You said it's hard to find people to relate to who are in similar positions in life like you. I hate to break it to you, but that's fellow foreigners. You know, that's a huge thing you have in common. So I am at the awkward age this person said. I am in my mid-20s. Reality is I don't have any close Korean friends in Korea, and most of my friends who are also in my age group, they also don't have many Korean close friends. It's not because none of us wants to have Korean friends, it's just because we as fellow foreigners in this country have a lot in common with other foreigners in this country. That doesn't mean that you have to limit yourself to this specific group of people and you can only be friends with this specific group of people. But I think it's very natural that it ends up happening that most of your friends are also foreigners. But in case of this person, I guess you made a lot of bad experiences. You definitely should try to meet people your age because they exist. What might be the issue is that most people in their mid-20s, they are just starting to get their career going. So maybe that's why they're not out there. I'm not sure, because like people in their early 20s, they're at university and they're having fun, they go partying. You said you're not into partying anymore or never been. Totally understandable. I also don't have many friends who are in their early 20s because I'm also not really into partying. I used to like partying, but now it's not really my thing anymore. So I understand that. And then people over 30, but like, I don't know. There are a lot of difference between people in their mid-20s and people in their 30s. Maybe you should be more open for people in their 30s too. I think especially if you are over 25, you don't really need to stress that much about age. Maybe if you're 20, it would be tough being friends with someone who's over 30 because you're just at different stages in life. But I think if you were like 25 to 28, you were a working adult most probably, and someone over 30 is also going to be working adult. So you have this life stage in common. So it should be possible to find friends who are over 30 if that's the only age group that you meet. There are other ways to make friends other than language exchange cafes and like apps. What you can do if you really want to make local Korean friends is finding a hobby where you go to regularly. For example, I take dance classes and I always go to the same dance studio. But to be fair, I don't talk to anyone, so I didn't make friends. 99% of the people there are Korean, so if I would want to make friends, I think chances would be high I would be able to. Yeah, it gets a bit more difficult because you're a foreigner to get a close relationship to a Korean person, but I don't think it's impossible. Don't overthink it and don't be too harsh on those people you don't want to be friends with. Like, I understand you don't want to be friends with everyone. It's a little harsh to like describe all of them as like these insane people who prefer partying in apgujeong instead of Hongdae even though they're broke. You'll get there, you'll make friends. Story number 2. This one is a little bit shorter. More than story, this is more like seeking advice. Long story short, I taught in Korea twice in my 20s and I'm back in the States again now at 30. I invested a lot of my 20s in the Korean connection, living there, learning the language, making friends with Korean people and expats, and it just feels so strange for it to be gone. It's been 2.5 years since I last returned. I didn't want to come back to the States, but didn't really know where else to go at the time. And still, I think about the country and my life there and miss it constantly. I also even work remotely for a small Korean company now. I do have an offer to return and work in their office, but a mix of things always holds me back from doing it. It gets so bad that I feel like it's keeping me from living a full life here in the States, and I don't really know what to do about it. I'm not in love with living in the States, but I also know that continuing a life in Korea as a single chica at 30 might also lead to some difficulties further on if I were to go back a third time. Don't know what I'm looking for. Maybe others have been in the same boat and have some thoughts, advice to share. Thanks. There isn't that much context. She didn't mention any things that keep her in the States, like, I don't know, I'm sure she has her family there, maybe childhood friends, familiar surroundings. But from the way that sounds, like, I would just go back to Korea. Because you said you have a job lined up. You said you want to come to Korea. It keeps lingering on your mind. If it's just the worries about finding a life partner, I would still give Korea a third chance. It's not bad that it's like your third time, that's fine. If you live here for a couple of years again with your new job and you end up wanting to go back to the States, then that's fine. But I don't think it's a waste of time to give this a chance when it's obvious that your heart is telling you that you want to come back to Korea. I mean, even when you went back to the States, you said you didn't really want to. There's a constant in this question, and the constant is that you keep wanting to be in Korea. So have the courage, make the decision. Maybe you'll also find a life partner here if that's like one of your big worries. Don't pressure yourself too much. Just go with the flow. The third story is about the US soldier asking for some dating advice. I am a male US soldier, 28, stationed in Korea, who for the past 2 months has been seeing a Korean female who's 24. I've really started to like this girl and I'm willing to take things seriously and be exclusive to her. There is, however, for very understandable reasons, a stigma attached to Koreans dating foreigners and specifically soldiers. I've tried to be supportive and understanding of it, but it does wear on you to feel like someone is ashamed of you and hiding you from their friends. We have only been at it for a little over 2 months. I guess I'm wondering if anyone has experience with this and how I should approach the topic, if at all. How long should I wait, or am I already wasting my time? So he said it's been 2 months since they met. I think especially for Korea, that's a pretty short time to like introduce a guy to your whole friend group and family. I do agree there definitely is some stigma if a Korean person dates a non-Korean person, but I think now specifically it should be fine to wait more than 2 months until you get introduced. He did say that he's willing to be exclusive to her, so I'm not sure if they're not exclusive yet, especially if that's the case. Like if you're not exclusive yet, I don't think she will introduce you yet. So you will have to be exclusive already, and then maybe after a while she will introduce you. I can only speak from my experience and from things I've heard from my friends, but most of my friends have only met their partner's parents once they were ready to get married or once it was set that they want to marry in the future. This might take a while again for you. But I think it's totally okay to already ask your girlfriend about it, to talk about it already. You don't need to wait to communicate things. Like you can ask her and just honestly tell her, hey, look, like I'm used to getting introduced to friends and family, blah, blah, blah. You know, just communicate and then she will tell you what she's comfortable with and share her thoughts with you so you don't have to like be anxious about it. Yeah, I think most of the times with issues like this where you worry about things like that, communication is always the key. I do know that there are some people who don't like mixing romantic partner and friend group just because sometimes they don't really fit together. Not sure if that's the case for her, but yeah, just talk to her. You'll be fine. Oh wait, there's an update. Okay, he's saying it's still very early and I'm willing to wait and see what happens. I do enjoy Korean culture and food, and I've tried to be involved in those things. I'm learning Korean slowly and hope to be fluent someday. Also, the intimacy is amazing, so I have that to my advantage. Okay, good. It sounds like everything's going fine. Like you're enjoying the Korean culture, you're enjoying the physical aspect, so you'll be good. Now on to the next story. This one is just a girl who's asking for some advice. Hi everyone, first time posting in here. If I haven't mentioned it, I'm getting these stories off of Reddit. If you guys submit stories, that will be even more amazing. I will definitely read them, so send them to me by DM on Instagram. I'm a 20-year-old female living in the Netherlands. Ever since a friend of mine in middle school introduced me to Korean culture, I fell in love. I fell in love with Asian culture in general. One of the things that I admire so much about Asian culture is the respect that people have for each other and their elders. Where I'm from, the Netherlands, teenagers and young adults don't really have that. But besides that, I admire specifically the Korean culture. I love their food and their language. So for a few years now, I've been thinking about possibly moving there and living there in the future. But now the thing is, I don't know what jobs you could get as a foreigner or Dutch citizen in Korea. I have seen jobs like English teacher, Samsung employee, and military, but I would love to know about what other job opportunities there are in Korea for foreigners. If you have any input or comments or anything to say, I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to try answering this question in a more like general matter because I think a lot of you who are a bit younger are also considering moving to Korea, and I think there are quite some people who would also like to get advice, so let's keep this general and not just specifically to Dutch people. There are a few things you can do to get a job in Korea. One thing, of course, is learning Korean. Try to get a Korean diploma. It's called the topic test. It's always good to have that diploma as proof of your Korean proficiency. I also recommend having at least a bachelor's degree. Doesn't even matter what about, but just for the visa procedure. For most jobs, it's good to have a degree. The most common jobs I've seen, yes, are teachers, models, but what I've also seen a lot is many people are in marketing for Korean companies that are trying to expand globally or that are already global. So marketing jobs are one of the fields the majority of my friends work in, but that might also be just because of my social circle. Not sure how it is statistically. Then I've also seen a lot of non-Koreans work in hotels. If you have an engineering degree or programming or, have a lot of working experience, but I don't think that's the case for you. I did end up giving specific advice, but if you're 21, you're probably not gonna be a huge IT expert yet. Just for reference, for those of you who are in engineering, programming, I think current companies will want to have you. Yeah, so in my opinion, for people who do have a university degree, marketing is one of the most available fields. There are a lot of different ways to start a life in Korea. There are a lot of jobs people do here in Korea. So if you're serious about it, then there will be a way to get here with, I don't want to say anything wrong, but you don't need to rush into things. I also took it really slow. When you're looking for a job, by the way, I think you have the best chances if you already are in Korea, because most companies will want to have a face-to-face job interview with you. Try to be here offline. Oh, one thing, if you have a degree, don't accept minimum wage. Just telling you because I've seen a lot of people who accept minimum wage even though they have a master's degree. Just keep it in mind that you should negotiate even if you're a foreigner. That's it for today with Gossip in Korea. Guys, I really want to ask you for this favor. If you have any fun, crazy, toxic, or wholesome stories to share, please, please, please send them to me by DM or per email. They don't necessarily have to be related to Korea. I mean, I'm reading them from Korea, so I guess it's still Gossip in Korea because I'm reading it here. Other than that, if you enjoy this format, please write a comment, like the video, subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye bye!